And this is why it's literally so important to just remind yourself to just follow the strategy. You gotta just follow the discipline. You gotta be like a robot and think anything is possible, because when you try to catch the reversal, when you try to counter trend, you're gonna get burned in these type of market, because there's a lot of head fakes, a lot of brain seeds, and a lot of just traps. I mean, today is just a perfect example. So this is what my prediction was over last night when the futures were up big. Essentially, I knew this was going to be the important level at 33.25-ish, and there was going to be a reversal at this point is what I was expecting. And off of that reversal, there would be a bounce and a move higher. Well, that didn't go exactly. In fact, it went nothing like that. And you can see the reason why was first of all, I noticed the pre-market was pretty weak. I mean, it wasn't even above 3,300. So I knew something was up there, right there. But then I just didn't think. I mean, once it starts, you forget about these things like the pre-market and how it was showing you signal, but you can't just take that. And then of course, you got one, two, three, four bullish candle all the way up to 33.30, where I said, and of course there was gonna be a reversal. And now it did bounce at this point, and I did probably catch some of these bounce, but the fact that it went all the way down to here and it bounced, I mean, this was the first signal where you pretty much know it didn't get back to even, that essentially at this point, you should have known it was lost for the day. But it's so hard to play the puts. Um, it is hard, but you just gotta go with your discipline, because at that point, the trend is clearly down. I mean, you can see at that point already established with that many candle, especially when this candle started to move down, especially when it failed to penetrate. At this point where it failed to reach the previous day close, reach the neutral line, the previous close of Friday, when it started to reverse. At that point, I should have bought puts. I should have sold calls. I should have just knew it was gonna be a disaster, because it was already below 38.2. Now, how bad did it end up? It ended up pretty bad. Now, at some point, right at this level right here, this bounce right here, for whatever reason, I don't know why. I mean, this is a lower low, but for whatever reason, I was just brain seeded that it's just going to rally and it was going to bounce. Now, once it didn't do that, I should have just taken my loss, but I never. It's just so. I mean, it's just so hard for me to take the loss and to take the stop loss sometime, but you just gotta take it, because otherwise, you end up taking even more loss. Because now I lost 1,200, because I end up having to cover at this point down here, um, you know, toward this low, and but I shouldn't even taken this to position, to be honest. I shouldn't try to play the reversal. I don't even know why. Looking at it now, I mean, yeah, I think at this point this was trying to bounce up. It was a candle that was trying to bounce up, and then it snapped all the way back down in the last like 5 seconds. It just snapped down and then it just went. I mean, it just reversed so quickly, and I was like, oh my goodness. And I just thinking it's gonna, at any point I was just like, it's just gotta bounce. It's just gotta bounce, and it's not gonna bounce. I mean, they see your shares. I'm telling you, they see your shares and they're not gonna give it to you. They see your shares, they're not gonna give it to you. They're gonna eventually gonna get you to stop at an even worse loss. So I took the 1,200 loss. really my only bad trade other than the VIX, that again trying to counter trend on the VIX, which was dumb. Again, keep trying to counter trend. So that's another 200 or whatever that was. So that's pretty much 1500. Otherwise, probably would have been at 1800 for the day, which isn't great, but it's a pretty good for a such a tough day to play. Because look at this, everyone expecting this to be a up day and it ended up being a down day. So that's a pretty tough day to play, in my opinion. Even though the trend clearly was down, it was just difficult to play the downside. Because the QQQ, at the point right here where the very first right here where it bounced off of the close to the 38.2, it didn't quite get there. So this was kind of a bullish sentiment, and it got to the even line. So at this point, I was thinking it was probably going to establish an uptrend because it had reached key levels. So you got to establish the trend after it reached key level. But then it started to reverse, and I just didn't think. I mean, I just didn't think it was gonna be this bad, and look how bad it turns out to be. So looking at this, I mean, even the options, it was hard to. You can see the options. There was nothing really signaling that there was going to be a bounce today, to be honest, except for the very end where there's volume on at the very end, volume on the buying of the 3300. But even though there's a lot of volume on the calls, there was also some volumes on the puts as well. So it's hard to really say that these option players are going to position for an upturn. Now I do think it, normally you got that many. Uh, it, Same with the apples. You got that many option buyers on the call size. This guy, pretty much every one of them, Tesla. Um, so there's more call volumes than there are puts volume, which is kind of strange to me because such a negative day, you would think there'd be a lot more put buyers. So why there's so many call buyers on these stocks? It just doesn't make that much sense to me. But then you look at the QQQ, and there's gonna be obviously more put buying on the QQQs than there are on the calls. So it's conflicting why you have it like that. Why is the individual stocks you have more call volumes, but then on the index you got more put volumes. It's Yeah, but if you look at if you look at right now, it looks like it's positioned for a bounce. Now how much of a bounce I don't know, and will it reverse? It probably it probably will reverse. So you can see right now everything is bouncing off of the 20-day moving average. The SPY bouncing off the 20-day moving average. QQQ. IWM is still looking strong. XLF is at the 50-day moving average. DIA is at the at bounce off the 20-day moving average. Amazon is bouncing off of the 50% retracement on Fibonacci. Tesla also bounced off of the 20-day moving average. Apple is the weakest and it's at the 21.8. And Zoom, I think it bounced. Well, Zoom is still very strong. Let me look at Google real quick. Yeah, Google really is not. Let me look at Nvidia. Nvidia is at the 20-day moving average. So the individual stocks do have call volumes, and it does look like it's bouncing off of the 20-day moving average along with the indexes. So I'm expecting a bounce tomorrow. But you know what? Expecting a bounce, you just gotta go with the trend and see what. Let's just assume it's going to be a gap up tomorrow. So it'll probably be a gap up, but then will it fail? You gotta expect that any gap up tomorrow, it's going to have some type of failure somewhere, and because the shorts are gonna try to pound in. Any strength at a certain point, at key levels, and it's best just to look at Amazon because you can see at Amazon right here they hit it and then they took control. So let's just assume it gaps up at any point here, 32.27. They're gonna try to hit it, or where VWAP comes down, yeah, 32.27, something like that. They're gonna try to hit it and see how far the shorts are gonna see how far they can take it. And you just gotta follow the trend line and see if it's going to be up or down. You can't just, and it might be a wiggle tomorrow. You never know. It might be a wiggle, um, or it might just, yeah, you just gotta. To be honest, it's really difficult to play right now, and you just gotta try to catch the waves. If there's any imbalances if there's any signal on the option side, you should be able to see it, um, where you see some volume pick up. Um, but yeah, look at this. I mean, even these volume right here, you can't really use the QQQ. I mean, this is just fast volume, fast signal. But you probably can use something like Amazon, or maybe. But right now, it doesn't look like there's anything on Amazon that 350. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, this guy right here. You may be able to see some volume tomorrow. Like this is a signal, but it's at the end of the day. So these guys are positioning for a gap up tomorrow. So they're gonna try to front run the gap up. And of course, same with this guy. But during the regular day, you may be able to see something. The puts really don't show you the volume, to be honest. It just shows you a nice trend. This is yeah, that's Amazon. So the puts do show you a nice trend, up, um until the very end. So this does show you a nice trend up, um and it may continue, but the call volume is what you would want to look for to see if there's a reversal. It's hard to determine the puts, and that's why it's hard to buy the puts, because there's really not a signal, unless it's too late. So I wouldn't be buying the puts until it gets really bullish, because right now you pretty much miss everything. All this from here to here, you pretty much miss, 15 all the way to 63. So how much further can it go? Who knows? But I would think, if I were to guess, I would think tomorrow would be an oscillation day positioning, and then earnings would probably be if the catalyst for earnings tomorrow, hopefully, would be the bounce. Otherwise, oh man, can it be a crash coming? I guess anything is possible. It's hard to say that there will be a crash right now, but it just seems very bearish right now. But sometimes it just gets bearish and then it gets bullish all of a sudden. So this bounce off of the 50 is going to be pretty strong because that is where it bounced last time. So right now it's not at the 50 yet. Um, but I think, is Apple at the 50? No, I don't think Apple's at the 50. So the bounce off the 50 will be the strong level. So, right now everything is at the 20, except for Amazon and Apple will be the close one to get to the 50. And maybe the 50 will move up, uh, toward this level, and then you get something tomorrow that kind of flushes down and then bounce off of the 50. So we'll see how this move up tomorrow. And if it does get kind of close to the 50% on the Fibonacci, then there's probably going to be a magnet, because the 50 is a very strong magnet compared to the 20. Yeah, if it's close to the 50, it's going to get there. And then once you get to the 50, you expect a bounce. So that's what I'm thinking tomorrow is going to be. And you just got to play that right now. Otherwise, and just follow your discipline, really. Just be a robot and just try to follow the trend. Take the stop loss. Don't overthink it. Don't try to time the reversal. Take the small loss. I mean, I keep taking these stupid large loss and hope to catch the waves. Because that's the only way you're gonna make any money is to try to